What's up?
There it is.
Yeah, it's a memorial.
Who are you?
Hi, my name is John Paul Himka. I'm an emeritus professor from the University of Alberta here, and I'm a specialist in Ukrainian history.
I'm not very familiar with this monument. If you had to succinctly say what it represents.
Those who struggled for the freedom of Ukraine.
Oh, so specifically freedom fighters for Ukraine.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The Борцам за волю України is to the fighters for the freedom of Ukraine.
It's a monument to Ukrainian veterans.
Okay.
It's got 7 groups in there that fought with the Ukrainian army.
Okay.
And 2 of them happen to be associated with the Waffen SS.
Whoa.
Well, that's part of the Nazis.
Whoa, yeah, I know that's part of the Nazis. Yeah, like, are you serious?
Hi, so this is Per Rudling. He's in Sweden right now, and he's a historian and associate professor that he can hopefully answer some of our questions. So just for, obviously we're talking about that World War II monument, and just for some background information, we were wondering when it was built.
That one appeared in 1976, and it was erected by members of the Ukrainian community, primarily by the Ukrainian War Veterans Association.
So consecrated is when it's blessed. Do you know who had attended that consecration?
Oh, many people in the community would have, but the person who consecrated it was the head of the Ukrainian Catholic Church, Metropolitan or Patriarch Yosef Slipy.
The purpose was to sort of like share multicultural funding for the purpose of building up and supporting Ukrainian culture. The logic was to sort of by stimulating, by being solidarical, open and tolerant of minority cultural expression, you will stimulate democracy and vitality in the Canadian society. So there's a paradox inherent in this, right? That Canadian multicultural funding goes to build monuments to people that are not necessarily your typical mainstream liberals.
I'm sure if like whoever fought for it or fought with whoever must have done it with some specific purpose. They felt it right thing to do. I mean, it's a monument that praises for people giving their lives for a purpose.
University of Alberta might be one of 2 universities, to my knowledge, that had a Waffen SS veteran as university chancellor. In the cases when this was brought up for discussion, well, I have to say that there was a little reaction other than a sort of defensive, aggressive one from parts of the community and from members of that generation. I tried to raise this issue in about 10 years ago. It should have been raised earlier. Had it not been raised by John Paul Himka, for instance, 10 years ago, who met significant resistance from the community, by the way, had he not raised this issue, you would imagine was sort of like what the goal, what the score for Putin's propagandists would be, this festering, unprocessed history of the Canadian prairies.
Well, were they actually Nazis, or are they people who resorted to Nazis because we sold them out to Stalin? I mean, whose fault is that, really? Because, I mean, in World War II, we basically decided we needed the Russian support. So we told Stalin, okay, we'll sell out all of our allies who are Slavic if you side with us. So we sold them out to a genocidal maniac of a madman who tried to starve them all to death. And I think it wasn't so much that they were Nazis as that they resorted to asking Nazis for help because we screwed them over.
With the growing power of the right-wing dictatorships in Europe, with Mussolini, Hitler, Franco, and these others coming to power, it seemed to be the wave of the future. We don't think of it that way because they were defeated in 1945. It's an unfortunate fact that the movement for Ukrainian independence had those kind of allies that they had in the end. Because the people who put it up were absolutely convinced of their cause. But now when you look at it from the cold light of history, you can see that it's more problematic. This inscription is open to your interpretation. Over there in Ukraine now, they're making heroes out of the OUN, the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, and of UPA, the Ukrainian Insurgent Army. They so far haven't rehabilitated Waffen SS Division. But there's lots of noise in that direction.
My thought process is how many tax dollars did it take to erect it, and how much is it going to take to tear it down?
I think the larger issue here is that taxpayers' money has gone into underwriting and stimulating a political culture, funding political groups which are ultimately not in line with the sort of intentions of, as far as I can tell, of the multicultural policies that Canadians had in mind when they introduced this.
Doesn't matter who paid for it, it's there for a certain purpose, for the education for the people. Just like anything you notice, like parks, gardens, buildings, monuments, the reason behind it is probably less important, I think, than the actual importance of the monument being there. So it's nobody should be actually be too concerned whether, oh, it's my money, you know. It's everybody's money. It's there for everybody.
If our heroes are the UPA or the OUN, and they killed the Jews in 41 and in various times, right? Then, and they're our pure heroes, then you have to justify why they did that. Well, it's simple. The Jews are communists and exploiters. So this kind of justification of these kind of heroes has its hand on the brain of the Ukrainian state.
I think these sort of like discussions are important. It becomes sort of like, you know, a trigger for a discussion about history. I think there's an argument to be made for reckoning honestly with history, and this monument right now is not presenting history in a very honest way.
Well, I'm not a big fan of smashing monuments, not even Lenin monuments.
A case could be made for preserving the history also.
I believe in problematizing monuments sometimes, but not really smashing them or getting rid of them.
It's actually enshrining a selective version of history, which I think is not in line with the Canadian values.
If they want to build a monument on their own private land, that's probably okay, right?
I think it should be up to the people of Edmonton to determine what sort of memorials they should have in their cities.
There's some brilliant monuments out there, and they make you think. They make you think and they make you consider like large questions. This is simple. These people fought for our freedom, they're heroes. It's simple.
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about.
A lot to think about, for sure.
I mean, thank you for your time.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's great to meet you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers. "10 years. He wrote that article 10 years ago, and now we're just talking about it.
Well, doesn't that just show you, though, that it's really not that big of a deal?
It is that big of a deal. The only reason we're talking about it is because of the problem. You know what? Tear it down and build a different one, but this one needs to go.
I just think that when you tear down the past, you're doomed to repeat it.
Listen, there's Slater memorials being torn down, there's Nazi memorials being torn down. Why is this one different?
Well, I don't think it's any different. I don't think you should be tearing down any memorials. I think what he said is perfect. Amend them, you know, make people think.
It's a monument to it. There are other ways to remember history.
Listen, Griffin, I get where you're coming from, man. Like, seriously, I get that, but it's not a memorial to ethnic cleansing. Nobody in the Ukrainian community is like, yeah, ethnic cleansing's great. This represents our freedom to us. This is a freedom thing. Come on, Griffin, come on, man.
I killed the weeds and held the bees. I tried to slow the progress of bone pestle against stone